Joining us in studio, Executive Vice President and General Manager Nick Caserio. Nick, great to see you.
Fellas, good to be here.
Congratulations on the victory. We have a lot to talk about. Short week for the Buffalo Bills, but let's review beating the Tennessee Titans, another at-the-buzzer type victory.
Yeah, made enough plays in the end. Overall, played well as a team. We talked before the game. This is a much improved team, and we expected it to be, pretty competitive contest, which it was. I mean, they have a formidable front, so it made had presented some challenges in the running game. For the most part, we did a good job defensively taking care of their running game. And in the second half, we made enough plays, scored 16 points in the second half. So our ability to finish games over the last few weeks has made a big difference.
One of the things you told me is the key was stopping the run. And I know Cam got out on that one run, but Pollard was 10 of 22, 2.2 a carry. I would say that's a pretty good job stopping the run. When you went back and watched the film, Nick, what did you see from that aspect?
Yes, a lot of it was having an understanding of what they were trying to do. They're two good backs. We talked about Spears a little bit, having not played, but he's a good back. But for the most part, just playing discipline, playing with gap integrity, making sure we're in the right spot. We did a really good job of setting the edge of the defense. The defensive ends did a real good job of setting the edge, forcing the ball back inside, and as long as there's not enough space inside, then we had enough hats around the ball. So run defense is usually good team defense because you have multiple people doing the right thing on each play.
What was different offensively from half number one to half number two?
Honestly, Mark, not too much other than we scored, because if you look at really didn't have the ball that much in the first half. It was 3 or 4 possessions or a couple at the end of the half. Couldn't convert down there in the 1 yard line, so that's points, and then had ourselves in field goal range. Got knocked out of field goal range with the sack on third down. So we moved the ball, had some positive plays. We just couldn't convert some of the scoring opportunities. And then we had some negative runs that forced us into some second and long situations. So in the second half, we're able to get on track on first down. And one of the things that we talked about is first down production. So we were able to get on track on first down, put ourselves in more advantageous situations, and then we took advantage of some of the scoring opportunities as we got closer to the goal line.
On the final drive, I think most people remember, 3rd and 16, Davis to Nico. Mark and I talked about it this morning. The 3 Woody runs that, I don't know what they ended up going for, but they took us from, this is a long
17 yards total.
To, okay, this is a relative, almost an extra point type field goal. Those 3 runs came in huge at the end of the game, Nick.
Yeah, for sure. You're trying to manage the game, end of the game there a little bit, and make sure you don't give the opposition a chance to have the football back. So we got the ball in that kind of plus 40-ish, 40, 45 range, and then we were able to hit a couple positive runs. And I think those runs were kind of emblematic of the run game. We actually had some good runs. Yep. They kind of got drowned out by the negative runs when we got knocked back and had some negative yardage plays. But those are a good example of we were able to just kind of get hat on a hat and get the ball downhill, and ended up being the difference in the game. Yep.
All right, tell us about that 3rd and 16 throw, Davis Mills to Nico Collins, because he dropped it in the bucket, and Nico made a heck of a reception.
Yeah, I mean, 2 good players making a really good play. There was a small window there with which Davis had to get the ball into. Nico did a really good job near the sideline, making a catch, getting his feet down, and maintaining possession of the ball. So those are NFL plays. They're bang-bang plays. So the corner was, probably an inch or 2 away from getting his hand on the ball. The safety wasn't able to overlap over the top quickly enough. He put enough pace on the ball, and 2 guys made a pretty good play, which, was a huge play in the game.
I think we're going to talk about it. Most people will talk about that final drive and, the Texans maybe not scoring in the first half. They'll talk about some of the offensive stuff. And I think, unfortunately, maybe under the radar flying is the Will Anderson Jr. sack, strip, and fumble recovery. That play at that time, because that turns into 3 points. You win by 3. You get that 3 right there with that particular play. And I thought it was interesting because there had been some pressure. Guys had been getting, but they weren't getting to Cam Ward. They weren't all the way there. But it felt like just kept chipping away. Then Will gets there, and Tommy gets there. Daniil then gets there. It felt like it started to kind of wear him down from that perspective, but it was really that Will play that got it going.
Yeah, for sure. Cam's a hard quarterback to kind of get under wraps, and they did a good job. I think the ball was out of his hand in less than 2.5 seconds on just about every throw in the first half. And in the second half, there was kind of a marriage of coverage and rush. We had good coverage on the back end, which gives a rush more of an opportunity to get there. And then Will, with his just relentless mindset and playing style, we talk a lot about attacking the football. So the fact that we were able to get the sack and the football, it's a critical play in the game.
So we talk about the rookies every week. I'm stealing Johnny's rookie question because Jaden Higgins It's fun watching these guys improve, and you see it in real time. It's not like they're established veterans and you know what you're going to get every Sunday. Sometimes you get a little more, and it layers on top of each other. How do you see it, Nick?
No, it's a good way of putting it, Mark. I think Jaden's really improved from kind of training camp to now. He's taking advantage of his opportunities. We felt he was a good player. Where he's made probably the most strides and improvements in a running game, because we have to go. Receivers are a part of the run force. Like, they have to go in there and block the force. Tennessee had a number of times where the safety was down low, or they was blitzing, or they was just inserting aggressively. So you have to account for that player, and typically it's going to be the receiver. But Jaden's done a good job of improving in that area. And, you know, he has good hands. He's a good route runner. And when the ball goes to him, he usually makes the play, which was the case yesterday.
Okay, so now I'm going to satisfy my part of the contractual obligation and ask you a rookie scouting report on one Tommy Togiai coming out of Ohio State. Because when you signed him, and I think we claim him on waivers. I can't remember exactly how Tommy got here mid last year, but he gets here, and every single time he's been on the field, it feels like he's done something positive. And yesterday was another example of that, Nick. But I want to go back when he was coming out. What did you guys think of him? And how much of what you guys thought of him was the reason you brought him in last year?
Yeah, he wasn't a real, I would say, flashy player. He's very steady and very consistent. I mean, Cleveland took him in the 4th round because they felt he was a pretty good player. He played a little bit, and then he had some injuries, kind of short-circuited his progress there in Cleveland. So when he was released, we were just looking for a player to put on the practice squad. So we worked him out and put him on a practice squad. It was like late September, early October. So he was on the practice squad, and then we ended up elevating him. But I think he's a real good example of it doesn't really matter how you get here, what you do with your opportunities when you get here. He's always been a very workmanlike, very steady, very reliable, very consistent player, does the right thing. D'Amico has talked about it a number of times where when he's on the field, you typically can trust him to do the right thing. And shows up in spades. I mean, good or bad, like one of the plays, we had 10 on the field, and then we ran him on. He came onto the field, and then he batted the ball down. Yeah. So just when you think it's a bad play, he turned it into a good play. But, I mean, he's worked really hard. I'm glad he's here.
Another player doesn't get the publicity. Maybe he should, especially in this situation. Miles Bryant leads you in tackles in the game against Tennessee, and you need players like this who can help you out in a big spot.
Yeah, Miles is a very, I would say, steady, consistent, very instinctive football player. He's played multiple positions throughout his career. He's played safety, he's played nickel, he's played some corner. And that type of player, you never really know when you're going to need him, but when you do have him in the building and you feel good about putting him on a field, he has the trust and the confidence of his teammates and the coaches. He showed up there in the run force. I mean, our nickels are involved in the run force, and, you know, whether it's Petrie or Miles in the case yesterday, but very professional, very smart, very instinctive, works really hard. Glad he's here.
Mark mentioned this with Jaden Higgins about guys, especially rookies, improving each time they step on a field. I feel like it goes for veterans, in particular, a guy like EJ Speed. Watching EJ, it feels like each and every week there's a little bit more confidence. There's a little bit more playmaking. There's just better play week after week. Like, he's improving as a veteran. And maybe it's just getting accustomed to defense, just to the season, whatever. But it feels like EJ is making some big plays, Nick.
Yeah, and when you have newer players, whether it's a rookie or whether it's a veteran, there's going to be a little bit of a period of adjustment that's involved. With younger players, it's just assimilating, get acclimated to the NFL and some of the assignments they have. In EJ's case, it was really more systematically how can we incorporate into the things that we're doing defensively, and how quickly can he get up to, no pun intended, can he get up to speed? And he didn't play that much early in the year. We kind of spotted him in there, and then he's taken advantage. Another player who's taken advantage of his opportunities. So he's very unique for not only us but league wide, linebacker wise. Talking about a guy 6'4", 225 pounds. Yeah. With that kind of length, I mean, one of the tackles he made yesterday, he was kind of out of position, but because of his length, he was able to kind of reach back and get himself into the play. And he showed up in a kicking game. And before he was kind of a full-time player in Indy, he was a special teams player, and he was problematic. So the combination of defense and kicking game. So EJ's done a good job. Coach Davis has done a good job working with him and kind of getting him ready. And when EJ is on the field, he can make some things happen.
Yep.
Nick, they have one kick returner at a time in an era where we always see two, it feels like. So they had DK back there alone. Then they have Chestnut back there when DK got hurt. What about that? Are you seeing a lot of that around the league, or some of that? And different teams, I guess, have different approaches.
For sure. And we'll talk about this with Buffalo here in a minute, but they've kind of had different people. Ray Davis is doing it, there was an example of a running back, highly productive running back at Kentucky. Wasn't really a kickoff returner per se, but he's become the kickoff returner. They moved on from Codrington, who was kind of a combo returner, punt, kickoff returner. Now they're using Hardman. So what you have to do is figure out, all right, who can handle the ball, number one, and number two, what's the profile that you want in that player? You're seeing running backs, you're seeing receivers. Sometimes you see defensive backs back there. So it's all a matter of your team construction and who can handle that responsibility when they're called upon.
Nick, how have you seen throughout the league, and this is probably a great question for Frank. I don't know if we'll get a chance to talk to Frank, so I'll ask you about this. How have you seen teams throughout the league? Because Mark and I talked about after the Titans scored, kicked the extra point, it's now tied 13. They decided to kick the ball all the way through the end zone to put the touchback at the 35. I feel like that's become a more difficult decision than in years past because, kick it to them, kick it out of the end zone, there's the ball at 20 or 25. Now the ball's at 35. You're a dig route, you're at 50-yard line, you're in Cam Little's field goal range. How has the kickoff sort of changed the strategy of that sort of thing during the game, and especially at the end of end of games?
Sure, it's a part of the calculus. And going into the game, you might say, here's how we're going to play, how we want to play. Now, also, it's a product of the conditions as well.
Sure.
There was some gusts, some wind yesterday. The one direction, you were kind of kicking into the wind. The other way, you were 15, 20 mile per hour gusts. So can the kicker control the ball? Can you put it in the field of play? We had the one where the ball hit inside the 5 or 2 yard line, then bounced into the end zone. So that ball goes to the 20. Right. So there's definitely some strategy involved. It's not just, you're seeing less just kind of bang away. And you're seeing a little bit more of, now, conversely, if a team has a good returner, then, all right, you got to cover, and then they get the ball out. So that 35-yard line is kind of like the line of demarcation. And you have enough confidence for covers units, or maybe you're down some players, you've had incurred some injuries. So there's a number of things that could crop up during the course of the game that maybe could shift your strategy.
How does it make you feel as an executive when you see a couple of years ago Matt Amendola, game winner at Cincinnati, this time Matthew Wright, game winner at Tennessee? You're thinking, woof, you're able to find a guy to help you out. And I got to think there are a number of guys available. You don't have time to try everybody out.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of credit to the players and the coaches. So I would say Frank, D'Amico, just having a quick discussion. What are our options? Know what our options are, and then bring that player in. And you just want to get the right person with the right mentality that can kind of handle that situation, understanding it might be short term, could be long term based on a prognosis, but it's kind of a shorter term, and some are a little bit more equipped than others to handle that. But we prepare the same regardless of who the kicker is or what personnel we have. Like, we still have to go out there, get the players prepared. And the coaches and players have done a good job of putting themselves into position. And in the end, it's about doing your job and being able to execute and go out there and make the play when necessary.
Okay, great win. Congratulations, 16-13 over the Titans. Got into 5-5. Awesome. Then it's Thursday night. And I know you know this team, even though we've only been back here for seemingly about 12 hours. I know you know this team inside and out. A guy named Josh Allen plays quarterback. Pretty good team. Played him last year here. Been a playoff contender, Super Bowl contender. Buffalo Bills. Nick, give us a scouting report.
Yeah, really, really great football team. Great program, great organization. I mean, Brandon and Sean have done a good job of, I'd say, building the program, putting the team together, and developing a consistent winner over the course of a number of years. So the team building, they drafted a little bit more defensively this year. I mean, I guess we'll start on the defensive side of the ball, but they put a lot of resources into the front. Drafted a couple guys in the front, drafted a couple guys in the secondary, but their front is very formidable. I mean, they carry 10, 11 on a roster. I'd say the guys that have made the biggest impact so far, I'd say Bosa's probably having as good of a year as he's had since he's been in the league. He's played really well. Extended Rousseau in the offseason, who's a good young player, and I think their combination of size and length, I mean, they're both 6'5", 6'6", long arms. They can put a lot of stress on the edge of the defense, so really good on the edge. They kind of rotate a number of players there inside. I mean, they lost Oliver to IR, which is, a big loss for them. But say the kid from Kentucky, Deion Walker, has done a good job, 4th-round pick. Drafted Sanders in the 2nd round, who's kind of been in and out of the lineup. But they roll the guys through on the front. So they're going to play 8 or 9 guys, and they have different packages, but it all starts with their defensive front. Linebacker, I mean, it really probably have two of the more unheralded linebackers in the league. I'd say Bernard's as good of a linebacker is in the league. Very smart, instinctive, tough, runs really well. Made a very instinctive play in our game last year where he kind of dropped and read a quarterback, fell back into the play, but you have to account for him. And Milano, when he's healthy, does a good job for their defense. And then Dorian Williams is kind of the next linebacker there. And then the secondary, I'd say the guy that's probably made the biggest jump is Cole Bishop. Guy that took in the second round last year is really kind of the third safety. He's made a number of, I would say, game-breaking plays, a number of positive plays. So good young player. Rapp's going to IR, so they re-signed Poyer, who has a lot of experience in their system. So it's a pretty good group there. And then at corners, they're kind of 3 for 2 with Bedford. Tre'Davious White, and they drafted Harrison in the first round. And then Teron Johnson is like a true nickel. So their pass defense is among the tops in the league, so they really put a lot of stress on you. Combination of rush and coverage, kind of like we talked about with our group. And then offensively, I mean, everything runs through Josh. I mean, he's MVP for the league for a reason. Played really well against Tampa Bay the other day. He's hard to tackle. I mean, you have to count for him in any, I would say, critical situation because he makes plays with his legs. You've gotten good production from whoever is out there at receiver. I mean, Shakir's probably been the one constant. And at tight end, I know Kincaid went on IR, but he was a big part of what they were doing. But Knox is not giving them some good plays. And a kid, Hawes, the kid they drafted at Georgia Tech in the 5th round, is giving him a good presence on the line of scrimmage. And the offensive line, they probably had the same group together here, for a number of years. And 2 really good backs. I would say Cook is really the lead back, and he's a 3-down back. And then Davis, who we talked about in the kickoff return. So, I mean, this is a well-built, well-constructed team who pose a lot of challenges. So it's going to be a big week for us and big challenge in front of us. But I think everybody will be excited about the opportunity.
It's a big week, but it's a short week. So can you talk about what goes into the quick recovery and reset into a Thursday night game?
Yeah, the focus is on really their players' physical recovery and just getting themselves ready to go. I mean, practice this week is really lighter. It's more walkthrough. Scaled down tempo, but it's just getting your body adjusted, kind of recovering from the game the previous day, and then getting yourself in a position. It's going to be more mental than anything else. So, I mean, what happened in the Tennessee game really as quickly as we can turn a page. So we get to focus on Buffalo. Coaches probably on their own did a little bit of work individually on their own, working on Buffalo while maintaining focus on Tennessee. And the scouting staff, the advanced scout that was assigned to Buffalo, did a lot of work on the front end of it, so to get that information to the coaches. So it's a collective effort for everybody involved. It's a quick turnaround, but everybody goes through it. It's no different for us than it is for Buffalo. So the team that can quickly adjust and quickly get their players recovered and prepared as best you can. In the end, Thursday is usually about your execution when you're out on the field.
What about the rest of the support staff when you talk about nutrition and everybody involved in recovery and rehab and the training staff? Because D'Amico in the locker room, everybody saw this, said, hey, open till 10 o'clock tonight. Everybody get started.
Yeah, I'd say sometimes these weeks are really about your program and the infrastructure and the resources you have in place. So we're very fortunate and blessed to have a lot of great people in various different roles, whether it's in the cafe, whether it's in the training room, the strength and conditioning staff, various elements of recovery that are involved. So that's part of our responsibility is to make those resources available to the players and for the players to utilize them. Just to understand those are here for you so that you can get yourself physically and mentally ready to go for the challenge on Thursday night.
Nick, it feels like we have faced some mobile quarterbacks this year, guys that can get out of the pocket and make a few plays. Trevor, Baker, those are a couple guys that could make some plays. But Josh is different. He's a true dual threat. I mean, you could argue, yeah, James Cook is their number 1 running back, but maybe 1B is Josh Allen. He is a true dual threat because they will design run plays for him, where the other guys are probably just running when they get pressure, when they've got to scramble. But Josh, they will design some things up. How different does that make prep for him? Because, A, he's an alien because he's 6'6", 240, and then he runs like a running back. And then, by the way, if you are worried about that and sit back, he can then hose it because he's got a great arm.
Yeah, Josh is a part of the running game. And I'd say different, but it's similar to Lamar. I mean, they're both factors with their legs. They're part of the running game, and they're both elite throwers and passers. And Josh can make a lot of off-schedule plays, a lot of loose plays, and he's so damn big and strong. So even in the Tampa Bay game, a couple of the scores outside of the sneaks were designed runs. Yep. I mean, they were called for him. So you have to kind of treat him a little bit like a running back, even though he's a quarterback. Understand that he's definitely a part of the running game.
Isn't it hard to define Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson based on what we've seen in the past in NFL history? There's nobody quite like them. You can't really say, oh, Lamar's like Michael Vick. Vick was different. These guys are really unique.
Absolutely unique, and they're different. So they both present significant problems to the defense. So, I mean, they've both improved in a lot of ways, and they're more experienced. There's not very much they haven't seen. Josh, I mean, you watch their system. They have a number of basically best play situations where, all right, if they do this, we're running this, do something else, we're running that, to be able to handle that and to be able to absorb all that. That's why they're so hard to defend offensively, because they're so versatile and there's a multiplicity of things that they can do. So this is where you got to go back to your rules, your techniques, and just execute your assignment and do it for 65, 70 plays, and you really can't have any lapses.
In 19 or 20 years of having Brady, how many design runs did you call for him?
Zero, probably. Even though he made some critical plays, but they weren't any design run. Couldn't even run a bootleg with him, or kind of some of the keepers and the nakeds, because we were fearful that he probably wouldn't even be able to get out of harm's way.
That's wild. Nick, one more for you, and I imagine you're not out and about getting a head start on your Christmas shopping, but it's kind of a yes or no. Is it too early for Christmas music, Nick? You have to decide this for us. I don't know. You tell us. Holiday music. Should we wait till after Thanksgiving?
I think you got to wait till after Thanksgiving.
Okay.
And everybody in Houston, they have their Halloween decorations in their front yard. And as soon as Halloween is over, then they have the Thanksgiving decoration. So let's get through Thanksgiving before we start playing Christmas music.
My neighborhood, we went right to Christmas. It's
we went
crazy.
right to Christmas.
No break. No break at all. Nick, thanks a lot. Good luck.
Thanks, fellas.